Most Stanley Cup Final appearances since 79-80. The Oil at the top of the list. 4 cups in 5 years with Gretzky as the captain, and then 5 in 7 years, if you count the 90 cup winning team that was guided by Mark Messier as their captain. So, Connie, the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup was 1993. I want to point out who they beat or who's sitting next to you. We're 21 for the Kings in that series. It's a long time, and the Oil are carrying the hopes of a country. They have more Canadian players on their team than anything else by a good margin.
It's funny how Canada is kind of divided up. There's the teams out west. There's Vancouver, there's Edmonton and Calgary. That's kind of the western side. Then the eastern side, it's Montreal, it's Toronto, it's Ottawa. And then in the middle is Winnipeg. Do you think Canada's going to be cheering for this team? I think so. Maybe not the Calgary Flames, because that is still one of the fiercest rivalries in all of hockey. But I think Canada will be pulling for this team. There's a lot of pressure on them. And I worry about that, especially when they head back to Edmonton, because it'll be a frenzy in Edmonton. They are diehard hockey fans. They live, breathe, and eat. It's almost like a religion there. And there you see the last time Canadian teams reached the Stanley Cup Finals, and there's a lot of L's there, starting with the Canucks in '94, and then in 2011, of course, in the bubble, the Canadians 2021 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Tony, you were a big part of that. You were almost knocking off the last team to do it. No, hang on. Yeah, they were the last team to do it, right? The Montreal Canadiens.
Last team to do it, yes.
Yeah,
and
he brought it up. I mean,
no. I mean, obviously, I remember it well. And the Canadians, they had won 7 overtime games in a row. So that year, and in the finals, they beat us 3 overtime games in a row. So it was a great series. Patrick Waugh was in there, and that Kelly Rudy was unbelievable, and Arnett. Yeah. Obviously, Wayne had a tremendous series as well.
Oh dear. So there it is.
That was it. But the Canadians had a team that just was destined on how they played as a group. They obviously had Patrick Waugh as their anchor behind them. There's Denny Savard, a Hall of Famer that wasn't dressed for the last game. It was a complete team. And the momentum in that series, we won Game 1. The momentum changed when they were able to win that overtime game in Game 2. We went back to L.A. They won Games 3 and 4 in overtime. And, you know, we talked about it yesterday, Steve. I know we weren't, and we don't have our names on the Stanley Cup, but if I could tell you that I was on a championship team, just with the players that were in that room with me, every one of them I consider a champion, because we left our hearts out on the ice. We played as hard as we could. We were running on fumes, as you have to win a cup. And I was really proud to be part of that team and proud of every one of those guys that was in that room.
As you should be.
Yeah, it's the biggest gap in sports. The team that loses the Stanley Cup doesn't get a ring for winning their conference or anything like that. Yet in Major League Baseball, you have like an AL champion ring if the NL team wins the World Series. NFL, you got AFC championship rings, etc. In hockey, there's the team that wins it, and then there's all the rest of the teams grouped together.